This month's benchmark, Wildland, hand tool refresher. With all of us having S130 and S190, we all had a chance to use some basic Wildland hand tools. Since it's been a while, we just want to make sure you guys have a good understanding of the hand tool's purpose, use, and maintenance. The objectives for this benchmark are 1. To explain two different types of tools, cutting and scraping, and then discuss the specific uses based on the fuel type and ground cover. 2, we're going to demonstrate the proper tool use. The tools that we'll be demonstrating are the ones that we use on our brush trucks and our engines. And then lastly, we're going to go ahead and show you guys how to do a good field maintenance and inspection on the tools. The first tools, or the family of tools that we're going to be looking at, are cutting tools. They are primarily used on fireline construction by cutting brush, small trees, grubbing, trenching, and removal of ground cover. Based off of the type of fuel you're in, depends on the position of a cutting tool. It can either be at the front or the middle of the fire line. Also, when well maintained, a cutting tool should always have a sharp edge, and caution must be taken while in use. Here in Leander, our preferred cutting tool that we use are Pulaski. As you notice in the picture, a Pulaski has a head of an axe with a sharp front, as well as a grubbing edge used for digging. Mike is going to demonstrate on how to use a Pulaski. Notice that when Micah uses the Pulaski, he does a cut about a 45-degree angle with little to no effort. We do not want to exert ourselves when using these tools, because usually when we got to construct a fire line, we got a long way to go. Notice how he uses the grubbing edge, just get enough to get to the dirt. Again, when using a cutting tool, our swing motion should be at a 45-degree angle. A Pulaski is great for during mop up for felling snags. The grubbing edge is used for digging roots, trenching, and marking, as well as removing grass and other surface fuel. Now Mike is going to go ahead and demonstrate on how to sharpen and doing some basic maintenance on the Pulaski. Notice with the cutting edge, we want to make sure we maintain a good minimum of 2.5-inch taper on each side to create an even bevel. Notice that he has adequate pressure on the file and has smooth strokes. When you're done with one side, you want to flip it over again, making sure you maintain an even bevel and adequate pressure on the file. Moving over to the grubbing end of the Pulaski. Make sure when you do place the file, you're still staying consistent with the 45-degree angle and about 3/8 of an inch wide. Same thing, adequate pressure on the file and smooth strokes all the way through the blade. When completing the sharpening, we want to go ahead and look at the handle. Look for any cracks, deep gouges, and wear, as well as inspect the wedge at the top of the head of the Pulaski, making sure that it's in there securely so that the head of the Pulaski doesn't wobble. Also, too, we want to look for and manage any rust or rot, and then make sure before we put the tool back in place that we put the appropriate sheath or safeguard on the Pulaski before we stow it. Now moving on to scraping tools. These tools are primarily used on fireline construction and mop-up operations by digging, removing loose debris, ground cover, and trenching. As you can see here, we have two different types of scraping tools. We have a combi tool that can be used as a shovel, as well as a scraping edge, and then we have a row hoe. Both of these tools are placed on our brush trucks. Mike is going to demonstrate how to use a combi tool. Notice with the combi tool, it looks like a shovel, but you have an adjustable head on it, so you can make it into like a 90-degree to where we can use it like a hoe. Notice that he's not digging down deep. He's just trying to get away at the surface fuel. Again, trying to get to dirt. Once he's found dirt, he's going to turn the tool over and use it as a scraping to remove it so that we can create a fire line. Again, some more scraping tools that we carry on our trucks. We have a shovel and a council tool. Mike is going to demonstrate how that we can use a council tool on a fire line. Pretty much the council tool, or even with the shovel, is used back at the back end of a fire line, hand line, so that we can remove any loose debris that any of the tools in front of us have dug up to make sure, again, we got clean dirt. Remember, scraping tools are great for digging, scraping, smothering, beating, and then throwing dirt. Mike is going to demonstrate how to maintain and sharpen a rogue hoe. When we inspect this tool, we want to make sure that we look for any cracks or damage on the cutting end. Notice that when Mike is using the file, it's at a 45-degree angle, still maintaining the angle of the bevel. Got adequate pressure on the file. Now with the combi tool, when you inspect the combi tool, you want to make sure you look at the hinge and the bolt function, as well as the nut mobility. And then when we inspect the handle, we want to make sure that there's not any good gouges or any shearing wood. And again, like any sharp tool that we have, we want to make sure we place them with the proper sheath or any type of fiber tape before we put it back into service for use. Now, when we discuss tool order, there are three basic fuels that they look at. One is light fuel. Light fuel is short grass and light brush up to about 2 feet. The moisture levels aren't too bad, but this fuel does burn rapidly. With this type, you're going to see about two Sawyer teams, few cutters, and large contingent of scrapers. Next, we move on to moderate fuel type. With moderate fuel, you have brush up to about 6 feet, and you might see some patchy fuel within the grass. The rate of spread is really slow and to moderate, but it does have a moderate to high fuel intensity. You'll see with this type of hand crew, you'll see about 2 Sawyer teams, an equal number of cutters and scrapers. And then lastly is heavy fuel type. This fuel load will be up to or more than 6 feet. That includes slash. The rate of spread is low to moderate, but high intensity and type of burn. So with this, you'll see about 3 to 4 Sawyer teams that will include a swamper, more cutters, and fewer scrapers. Spacing in a basic hand crew, we want to make sure our spacing is good. We do want to avoid any slips or trips or falls. They do happen. We also want to maintain the ability to avoid and evade any rolling material. We also want to make sure we have good, easy escape access for any potential aerial hazards when we're working either around air helicopters for airdrops or any Sawyer teams that are dropping trees. Again, no matter what, LCS is really important. We also want to make sure we have good spacing to avoid any tool strike that if it does ricochet or a sudden shift in a tool swing that can occur. We also want to make sure we provide sufficient clearance to anyone's swing of a tool that might require more movement and effort. Still though, in our spacing, we sure want to make sure that we have close enough to communicate verbally and pass on any message regarding any hazards or direction. Now, we're going to go ahead and demonstrate line construction for you. Normally in basic line construction between each tool, we either want about 10 feet or 3 tool lengths amongst each other. But in this area, it's pretty small and tight, so we won't be that. Micah will start off our fire line with a Pulaski. Then we'll have a rogue hoe And then to finish up, we'll use a council tool. As you notice, Micah is just taking enough off just to get to dirt. And then Russell will come back in to make sure he's going to dig a little bit more and scrape to get more brush away. And then I'll be using the council tool to try to get clean dirt. As you can see, no one's getting down deep. We just want to make sure we clear enough brush. Either we're separating the black from the green, or we're constructing an area to get a fire line to where we want to put a fire break, that if the fire does come up to our line, it's going to stop. And then you notice on the picture on to the right, how you see we got a good distance from it, and all we have is dirt. Now, to review, general hand tool safety. Generally, again, 10 feet apart from each tool, or three tool length spacing from other crew members. Hopefully should prevent injuries. Be aware of any hazards, underbrush, as well as aerial hazards in the canopy. So sometimes if you're close up to a whole bunch of trees, there might be some snags up there, some widowmakers, anything like that. So don't just stay focused along the line. Make sure you're looking up as well. Also, too, know the proper carrying procedure with your tools to understand the balance point. Position the tool on the downhill side and always position the cutting edge away from your body. Be diligent about inspecting your tool and its condition. Look at the head, the handle, the edge, and make sure any attachment is secured properly. Keep your eyes on when you are cutting. Always wear appropriate PPE at all times. Be aware of the cutting angle to prevent any ricochet. Be prepared to verbally warn others when passing, bumping by, then wait until the right-of-way is given before proceeding. When handing a tool off to another, always pass the handle first and don't release it until the other person has shown control of it. And when the tool is not in use, lean it upright against an object out of the way, or on the flat of the ground with the guards on. Again, general sharpening practices. Always wear gloves, long sleeve shirt, and eye protection should always be used when sharpening. A sharp tool is a safe tool and more efficient. Users should make sure their tool is ready for use at all times, including and maintaining a sharp tool in the field. Secure the tool and make sure the work area around you is clear. Use the appropriate file size, which in most cases will be about a 12-inch flat mill bastard in good condition with handle and guard. Worn files will slip and not bite. Use the full length of the file when sharpening. Use the flat part of your palm hand to apply pressure to the file. Do not use fingers or wrap them around the file. Do not check for sharpened areas with an ungloved finger. Instead, if you do not have gloves, visually inspect to determine appropriate edge. Also, too, use the appropriate angle for each tool. Some basic handline terminology that you guys might hear when either interacting with TFS or United States Forestry Service or other departments. First phrase is swing and step, or one lick. Each person starts from the front of the line and improves the condition of the line until it meets standards. By the time the last tool is engaged, no one person is responsible for a specific chunk of the line. A big used term is bump up. Work is begun with a suitable space between workers. Whenever one worker overtakes another, all of those ahead move one space forward and resume work on the uncompleted part of the line. Progressive line construction, a system of organizing workers to build fire line in which they advise without changing relative positions in line. Another term used a lot is holding. That's when you're told to stop in progression and maintain current location. Then from there, you're going to hear the word hold and improve. A direction given by a line supervisor to maintain the current position in line and continue to work on the section of the line until instructed otherwise. And then lastly, bumping by. It's letting another crew, whether it be a Sawyer team, another hand crew working up the line, but letting personnel know that the others are leapfrogging their current location. Hopefully you guys have gained a little bit more knowledge on basic wildland hand tool and use, as well as maintenance. Thank you guys for your time. Please enjoy.
Cleaner than yours.
The blooper.
Wait, I didn't hear
Mine's
it
dirtier than yours. Look at that. I think we wash it.
He's like, I think
It
I
doesn't
saw a
smell,
stick of
though.
something somewhere.
It smells bad.
I'm recording right now.
That's fine.
10 feet apart, hard. Go back again.
Okay, so first tool we're going to go over is our Pulaski. It's a cutter / grubbing tool. Mike is going to go ahead and demonstrate how we're going to cut this wonderful sunflower. Go.